Hey, what's going on, Pokemon fans? Welcome back to Pokemon TCG Center. In today's video, we'll be looking at deck from 2012. It is a Darkrai Terrakion Mewtwo deck featuring Shaman with Celebration Wind. What a nice deck that was back in 2012. So if you like 2012 format, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos in the future for sure, and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss any video. So yeah, I mean, Darkrai EX in combination with Terrakion and Mewtwo, and also featuring that Shaman was all you really needed back then, because with the Darkrai you could have free retreat, damage spread with the Night Spear. With the Mewtwo you could just knock another Mewtwo, and whatever else you need with the X-Ball, maybe even a Psy Drive, and of course with the Retaliation Terrakion you can just return the knockout against Darkrai. With Celebration Wind Shaman you can play energies, and you can play Shaman on the bench and move energies from one to other Pokemon, whatever you likes. And of course with two Portrait Smurgles you could just pick your opponent's supporter and play it as the Smurgle ability. So that deck is one of the strongest decks back then. Later we got of course, Hard Gold, Soul Silver cards rotated, and we got some other cards like Team Plasma cards, and then Thunder's Deoxys Kyurem and Genesect also ruled the format. It was a little bit later, 2012, late 2012, 2013, and yeah, then Mewtwo and Darkrai couldn't work against those heavy supported plasma Pokemons. So this deck also features 4 copies of Dark Patch for extra energy acceleration on the Darkrai, Dual Ball, and 2 Ultra Balls for this Pokemon Surge setup, 4 copies of Junk Arm, of course, 2 plus powers, 3 catchers. Back then you didn't need to flip a coin in order to catch something from your opponent bench, 2 copies of Random Receiver, 2 Super Scoop Ups, 2 Switch cards, and then from supporter cards 2 Ends, 3 Johnny Purse, 4 Professor Oak's New Theory, 3 Eviolites, and a lot of different energies, 4 different types in total, 3 Double Chorus, 2 Prism energies that provided back then any type of basic energy, any type of energy attached to the basic Pokemon, so pretty much the same thing as a Rainbow Energy without dealing the damage, but only on basic Pokemons, 7 Darkness, and 2 Fighting Energy cards. So this is the deck list that I will use in today's video. So let's move on to the game test and see how this deck works in action, so see you in the game. So, welcome everybody to a game test. Looking to play with Darkrai Mewtwo Terrakion deck. A very powerful deck from 2020, actually from 2012, in 2020, 8 years after this deck was released. We are revisiting the past, and we are looking forward to play some battles and see this deck in the action. Alright, with that being said, I'm gonna put down Eviolite and use one of my portraits. Oof, I knew there's gonna be Johnny Purr. Pretty much bad in Johnny Purr if you ask me. But it is how it is. At least I have Catcher, and I will try to slow my opponent a little bit, and that's just not gonna be the case. So with that being said, let's go with one Darkness Energy attachment and with Pass. Alright. Maybe it would be better if I just decided to skip the portrait, because I lost Shaman, as well as 2 Super Scoop Ups. G Booster, Alpha Ludogram, which says look at all of your face down price cards, and Johnny Purr 4/7. So already Genesect have 2 energies, one of them Plasma and another one is a Grass energy. So technically speaking, with Double Core energy I can knock this Celebi out, which would be amazing, but I have another Catcher and I managed to flip heads on it. So I'm just gonna go with a Prism Energy attachment as well as Professor Oak's new theory. Well, there is a plus power, and in addition to that plus power, for now, I'm just gonna X-Ball my opponent Genesect for 90. Okay, so I hit Genesect for 90. Obviously, Genesect with 1 energy can one-hit knock out my Mewtwo, because he have G-Booster on it. And just in case if you're not familiar with the G-Booster and with what G-Booster says, you can attach G-Booster to Genesect, and when you do that, you can discard 2 energy attached to this Pokemon, and this attack damage isn't affected by any effects of defending Pokemon, and it does 200 damage. Speaking about 200 damage, my opponent managed to take first 2 prize cards in the game, and it's time for me to power up my Darkrai EX. Oof, I'm just constantly keep drawing those Eviolites. And I'm not gonna risk with the switch. I see that my opponent have... I'm gonna throw the portrait anyways, so I really want to bench down the Darkrai and potentially power him up with the Dark Patch, and I will try to use the portrait, and there's the end. So I'm gonna end my opponent down to 4, plus I can play 1 more supporter for my turn. Oof, random receiver. You have to be kidding me. And it is a Johnny Purr, so it should be Johnny Purr for 7, which I have 1 more energy available in my discard pile for use. Fortunately, I don't have. So another switch, John Carm. Okay, so John Carm into N and Catcher for that Dark Patch. And I can power up my Darkrai with it. Switch into it, hit for 90 with the Night Spear, and spread 3 damage to that Celebi on the bench. Well, somehow it looks like to be important to have enough damage for double knockout against 2 Celebis, so I'm gonna try to find another John Carm for another Pokemon catcher. And there is a dual ball from my opponent, and he flipped 1 heads, 1 tails on that coin flip, and he drew another Genesect, and there is random receive. Oof, Skyla, that's pretty bad. So he can Skyla into supporter, or he can retreat to Smeargle, and basically, well, if he plays switch, no energy retrieval. Okay, so technically speaking, he can attach energy and then retreat to Genesect, use energy. He already used Forest Brat, so yeah, that can also work as well. So I really need to find a way to somehow... Yeah, right now actually it's even too late because my opponent managed to remove my Eviolite from play. And with that being said, I will try to basically random receiver things here into N. Well, that N won't work. That N won't work, so I'm just gonna Ultra Ball. I'm just gonna Ultra Ball for my Mewtwo. Actually, I'm gonna grab myself Shaman. Should I do that? That sounds like a good idea. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna power up another Darkrai here, and gonna keep 1 energy to the active so I can retreat just in case if I miss energy. Well, there is a Dark Patch. There we go, as well as a Mewtwo. And right now I will try to flip heads on the coin flip with that Pokemon catcher so I can potentially knock 2 Celebis out. And that's actually what I want to do. There we go. energy attachment to my Mewtwo, and Night Spear for double prize knockout. So both Celebes are now knocked out, which puts my opponent in comfortable position because he can use again that Megala Cannon, and he can potentially even knock my Darkrai out because right now he can use Smeargle Portrait. So I realized that I should go for maybe Smeargle and Celebi knockout instead of just two Celebes. And there is also my opponent Mewtwo. So Junk Arm. What he can pick with the Junk Arm? Probably G-Booster. Oof, if he grabs the G-Booster, he can knock the Darkrai out, but then he goes down to like 0 energies in play. And that's where my other Darkrai can start dealing some pressure onto my opponent with the Dark Patches. Interesting. So he ends me down to 2, but he attaches Grass to the Mewtwo. And what a nice thing is to get Energy Dark Patch combo. And I need to count the damage that can potentially be done to my... Okay, first things first, let's go with the Smeargle. And there's a double course energy, which means basically one thing. With 3, 4, 5 energies, yeah, my Mewtwo will be knocked out. If he adds one more energy to Mewtwo, and if I have 3 on the Darkrai, that is 100 minus 20. So that's still enough for the knockout. And it's really tough for me to decide where I want to put some energy cards. So let's go first with... Oof, it's so tough to pick the energy attachment. I could go on the Retaliate for 90. I don't have enough for that. Plus, I want to use Portrait. Oh, why I didn't go for the knockout against that Smeargle. That Smeargle basically brings my opponent back to life. I will try to end him, potentially with the Portrait. If that won't work, basically game is over anyways. So where should I attach energy? I'm still thinking about that move and that play. Let's just go with the Portrait straight away. And it's another Juniper, and he have even Plasma Energy available, as well as Grass and Junk Arm, as well as Juniper. Yeah. So with one energy attachment, he won't knock me out. And what about Junk Arms on my side of the field? 2 Junk Arms being used. 2 cards available, 1 more Junk Arm, as well as a double Chorus Energy. And I'm gonna try to basically retreat onto my Mewtwo, use the plus power, and X-Ball my opponent for nothing less but for 70, which means that if my opponent cannot knock me out this turn, I can try to catch his Genesect if he decides to retreat. Ah, there's the Shaman. But still, yeah, Shaman. Top deck was the Shaman. So he literally top decks Shaman for the G-Booster knockout against the Mewtwo. Otherwise, if there was no Shaman, pretty much I could simply add a double Chorus Energy, which I had from my deck, to my Mewtwo, and I could just go for the knockout against his Genesect with the catcher in case if he retreated down to the Mewtwo or to something else. So definitely big mistake from my side, because I didn't want to knock the Smeargle out, and I actually didn't even pay attention to the Smeargle on the bench, which leads me to the defeat. So that's the GG. Alright, so it looks like that my opponent will start first. Oof. But I also started with heavy attacking Pokemon with Terrakion in the front. Retaliate, Land Crash. Oh, what the heck? Groudon and Kyogre Legend? Let's see, let's see. That's gonna be interesting to check that out. I can draw 3 extra cards. Alright, and there's the Portrait Smeargle on the other side. I do have support a card, and I have Professor Oak's New Theory. And there is a Eater for nothing. Cool card for oh, he didn't want a portrait. That's interesting. Well, I'm gonna go straight away with my Ultra Ball. I'm gonna grab myself a Darkrai. So let's go with a Dark Patch and then with another Dark Patch. So 2 Dark Patches at the one turn, in one turn. Looks amazing. Then I'm gonna Professor Oak's New Theory. And we'll try to add Mewtwo in play as well as Fighting Energy, and then I'm gonna Random Receiver into the N. Okay. So there's no chance for me that I can attack, neither knock my opponent out. Oh, there we go. So there is a Kyogre and Groudon Legend on the bench. Mega Tidal Wave. Discard top 5 cards of your opponent deck. This attack does 30 damage times the number of energy cards you discarded to each of your opponents. What? This attack does 30 damage times the number of energy cards you discard to each of your... Oh, that's pretty impressive. Mega Tidal, for sure. Research record. Alright, Legend Box. That's interesting. And there is also a Indigo Plateau for 30 extra damage on those legends. 180 Massive Eruption, 100 times. Discard the top 5 cards from your deck, and this attack does 100 damage times the number of energy cards you discarded. But those attacks are actually pretty expensive. Even for Legacy Standard, you know. Even for Legacy Standards. Quite impressive to power them up. Okay, so my turn. Again, I will go with Energy Attachment and then just with Professor Juniper for 7. I really want to find myself a switch. Unfortunately, no sign of a switch, which means that I'm just gonna junk harm both of my Terrakion and Mewtwo into some sort of a Dark Patch. For energy onto my Darkrai and retaliate only for 30. So my opponent can then, actually 60 because of the weakness. So then my opponent can use that Portrait, pick himself a Juniper, maybe even N. Juniper would be much better solution. So that was a Super Rod and another Legend Box. Yeah, in order to be lucky with the Legend Box and the top 10 cards of your deck, you need to reveal both Legend pieces if you want to. Okay, so why in the world did he do... Probably he just wants to have that energy. Portrait for N, or maybe for Research. If I'm my opponent, I would probably consider going with the Juniper, but he decided to go with the N, which is good for me. Alright, there we go. So this looks much better. And another Legend Box. And again, no luck for him. So that's pretty bad. But there is a Landorus EX who can actually hit heavy. Let's go with Double Course Energy Attachment as well as with that... Never mind, let's go with a Night Spear. Let's apply the pressure on those Kyogre and Groudon Legends because I'm actually very scared about being struck with that Mega Tidal Wave. Imagine my opponent hitting me for like 150 to each of my Pokemons, and then if he spreads some damage with the Hammerhead, that could be a nightmare for me, literally. So I'm gonna need to find a way. Luckily, the damage with the Hammerhead right now will be reduced because of the Eviolite, but still. 40 and 30 on the Mewtwo. And 40 and 30 on the Mewtwo. Let's go with one Energy Attachment and with one Catcher Play. So I'm gonna target that Groudon and Kyogre in the front, and then we'll just snipe the bench. Alright. The Kyogre and Groudon Legends are actually much bigger threat. Oof, there is a double Course Energy. Okay, stay ready. Stay ready for that Mega Tidal Wave. Maybe Massive Eruption. Who knows? One thing is for sure, if my opponent goes with the Mega Tidal Wave, and even if he discards the top 5 cards, he can hit for 130, which means that he won't knock my Darkrai out. But potentially he can knock the Mewtwo, Smeargle, and Terrakion and pick himself 4 prize cards, which would be kinda impressed, especially considering the fact that then he can just finish the game with Hammerhead, and that would be pretty much it. No, he decided rather to go, okay, only 1 energy. Oof. But I lost like 5 cards. 5 cards from the top of my deck. I'm not gonna complain against that. There is another energy. And I'm gonna keep the Shaman just to surprise my opponent. Oof, but then I realized that he had Mewtwo on his bench. Okay, I cannot do that because if I move all of my energies onto my Mewtwo, my opponent can simply surprise me with his double Course Energy Attachment Mewtwo play. So that's Shaman. It's not actually smart to put the Shaman on the bench and move all energies to Mewtwo. So 60 plus 90, 150, and like 3 plus powers can do the job. I have 1 in my discard pile, and if I can draw 1 more, if I can draw 2 more, and let's say 1 junk arm, I can knock the Landorus out with my Night Spear. But I can also move the energies on the Mewtwo and simply one-hit knock out Landorus. So in order to do that, I need to hit for 120, and... ooh, seriously? Either into Lance Judgment? That's mad. So that's Lance Judgment, and he don't even need to discard energies because he's hitting me for like 140. 3 energies? 4 or 5, that's 100, and I need to add like 1 more energy. Let's go with the Dark Patch. Another Dark Patch energy attachment. I'm gonna go with my Shaman. We'll move that energy to my Mewtwo. I can go with Professor Oak's new theory. I need some cards, potentially even an Eviolite. Okay, that's it. So X-Ball for 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. Yeah, 6 energies, 120. That's enough for the knockout, which means that my opponent can potentially even get the knockout back with his own Mewtwo, especially if he have double Course Energy available. And he goes straight away with the Mewtwo in the front, not even considering to promote the Smeargle. That's interesting. And record research. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck, put as many of them as you like at the top of your deck in any order, then the remaining cards put on the bottom of your deck. So basically with the research record, you have much greater chance to set the legend Primal Kyogre and Groudon and put them on the bench, for example with the legend box, and there are also 4 energies attached to them. Oh my goodness, you have to be kidding me there right now. Alright, so if my opponent stocks in the active with the Mewtwo, I'm just gonna try to find another Shaman and transfer all of my energies onto the active Mewtwo, but I don't even need to do that. The only 1 double Course Energy, not even a double Course Energy, energy plus power should do the job, and it will knock the Mewtwo out. That will be a GG. So my opponent just needs to find a way, either way, a double Course Energy. If he goes, yeah, I discarded my Mewtwo, there's a Scramble switch. Oh, Scramble into Massive Eruption, and I only see 2 energies, but that's actually enough for the knockout. And this bad boy is weak on the weakness as well as on the grass. Whew. Alright, what about random receiver into N? No, just into Juniper. And Juniper is not the card that I really want to use. Can I somehow close the game and win? Especially considering the fact that I can hit for 90 with my Terrakion. But in addition to that, I'm gonna need a little bit more resources. And how many dark patches did I use? 4. Ooh, that stings. Okay, so Junk Arm into Ultra Ball. Does it say discard the top 5 cards if this attack does 30 damage times the number of energy cards you discarded? Which means that we are gonna discard that double cores energy and pick ourselves a... We have Mewtwo! You gotta be kidding me! I thought that the last Mewtwo is prized. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I basically need to hit a Shaman in order to win this game. And I got lucky, and I hit the Shaman. So I can move all of my energies from my Darkrai to my active Mewtwo, and also from my Terrakion on the Mewtwo, and basically hit my opponent with that X-Ball for the knockout for the last prize card in the game. I could even go for the knockout against the Smurgle. I just didn't realize that I'm down to 1 prize card. I thought that I have like 2 prize cards remaining. But kind of interesting deck list from my opponent's side of the field. I kind of like it. I really need to admit that. No question about it. What a nice deck he played. Let's just go with a breakdown on the deck. Smurgle, Landorus, Mewtwo, Primal Kyogre. Actually, not the Primal, but the Legend Kyogre and Groudon. Really cool deck. I kind of like it. Probably I'm gonna use it in my next video. Thank you guys for watching and for your time. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the likes up and notification bell so you don't miss any future video. So yeah, that was a deck from 2012 in 2020 Mewtwo deck featuring Terrakion and Darkrai. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you next time.